Eli, I was supposed to get the new Godzilla figure in today.
Really?
Yeah. Producer Eli, check for tracking.
Yes, sir. DHL has transferred it to a kaiju. It's passing! Right over the studio!
Whoa. Eli, the Cybot has arrived. Today is Box Day! And welcome to another episode of Box Day here on the Monster Report. Monster Report's a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. And I am very pleased to finally receive the Cybot Godzilla from 1984, 1985 here in the United States. This was purchased actually on the SHONEN RIC US site. Actually, so this is something that there's been a model kit that actually was put out not too long before this. But this is the Ric Exclusive. And when we were unpacking this, producer Eli and I had actually, it was really fun unpacking because, you know, it's just setting everything up and getting the tail on. But we were pleased to find this extra that is with him, actually, the sea louse. Scares the heck out of you when you first encounter it on the ship that Maki is investigating, and it has this spear that actually goes through him, and I think this is a pretty cool kind of setup. We'll talk about this real quick and then we'll switch over to the figure. So here it is, the spear that goes through him. It comes in two separate parts, and there is this broken section of the spear. You can assume that maybe it was made of wood on the ship, and pierces right through him, and comes in two pieces. I won't pull it apart for this reason, but that is one of the first things that you find. And you will note that when you looked at the description, maybe on the Shonen Ric site, that this creature actually has a name, which I was unfamiliar with, Shockirus. And I thought that was, you know, interesting that they finally gave him a name. If maybe he's already had a name. Tell me in the comments section if you knew that was his name, the sea louse creature that was feeding off of Godzilla's blood, we assume, and got aboard the ship and nearly killed everyone on the ship. So that's a cool bonus that you get with him. And then we gotta look at the Cybot. Beautiful figure. Everything about this is film accurate. Looking over him, you'll just find that you know, so much of this that is supposed to be accurate to the film, they captured, just like, you know, one of the first things I notice is how he is thinned out here in the middle, that this section of the belly actually is collapsed in a sense. So that is, you know, where you had mechanical parts inside of the Cybot that could make it look like his lungs were breathing in and out, lips curling, eyes dilating, all of those really cool things. So the midsection of him is actually kind of caved in a bit because of all the mechanical parts that aren't in that portion of it. This Cybot, if you know kind of the details to it, stood 16 feet tall. And there's a really cool behind the scenes on some of the home video releases of 1985, 1984 that you can find. There aren't many official of anything for 1984. We'll talk about that maybe in a few here. But the Cybot was used for a lot of those close-up shots that you see where his lips curl. Of course, we also had the suit. Kenpachiro Satsuma wore the suit, and you'll definitely tell a difference when watching this film in the face design. And so this one captures that face beautifully of the Cybot in those close-ups. And there are some shots that you do have them in wide angle, just not many, again, because it was a very cumbersome, difficult process for them, so they ended up using the suit. One of the things about it is you'll notice when you watch the film, the face changed quite a bit. You can tell that's the suit. and that's the Cybot. And it's pretty obvious in a lot of these shots. One of the criticisms I've always had of this film is the fact that the eyes in the suit don't always point forward. Sometimes they're pointed, outwards.
God! Oh, there you are.
And just looks really goofy. The Cybot, though, it had all of those really cool moving parts in the face to give it that articulation that you will. And, of course, its arms moved. You saw certain shots where it had a very mechanical look to its arms moving. And some of those shots were cut out of the 1985 American version of this film. Some of the other details about this that I really appreciate, of course, dorsal fins are a big one. They look great. Always fantastic. The coloration of them. I'm going to scooch Shockirus out of the way here. The dorsal fins, really match the idea of the 1984 look to him, that they gave him slightly larger dorsal fins than the 1954, which this film is a direct sequel to the 1954 film, as we all know. And so there was the 3 rows of the dorsal fins that we have. Is a bit darker than the original Godzilla 2. The darker in the sense that it was in color anyways. So the Cybot and the suit had a very dark charcoal look to them when they were shown at night. Almost looks like it's an entirely black suit and Cybot. And so the Cybot really had that kind of rocky look, which really works well with that line that Ken has in the beginning of the movie where he says it looks like the rocks came alive. And as a kid, I always thought, isn't that kind of a neat idea that his skin may be some sort of like stone material, that he is somehow made of rocks and the mountains that he came out of. That's why he was so indestructible. No, he's still a lizard, and he just has that thick skin, that thick hide that makes him indestructible, but giving him that rocky look, being that they're still scales anyways. But as you know, that they wanted to go with a lizard, but yet have him have that connection with the birds. And so, they tried to give him, at least in the Cybot, you see that his mouth is protruded out a lot more, much like a beak, if you will. He always has that kind of sad face, actually. When you look at him, it looks like he's not just got a snarl to him, but that he's almost got a sad clown face, that his cheeks and the mouth is actually going downwards. I've always liked that about him. I've always liked the fact that you can see the rows of teeth. The rows of teeth in this, of course, are not doubled like he evolved in, let's just say, for Biollante, where he gets the double rows of teeth. But this one is the look that I've always really liked. I also appreciate what they did here with the hands, the claws, the pose that he's standing in really works well. The Cybot, when I've seen that they used it for publicity material and other material, you can tell how slow the arms move. I'm sure there's a lot of tricks that they did with the camera to make the arms and make the flow of everything look natural for film's sake anyways. So yeah, love what they did with that. All the texturing down. The chest may differ a little bit from what I remember it looking like in the film. I obviously know that, and we all know that the chest breathes in and breathes out, but it just differs a little bit more. You always have that center line down the sternum, and they captured that here really well, but I thought the muscles on both sides of the sternum, the pectoral muscles, if you will, were a lot more pronounced in certain shots. There was a particular shot I remember when watching the Japanese version for the first time after seeing the American version most of my childhood, is that there was this good close-up of the chest as he's breathing in to breathe out the fire at the Super X. Cut differently, of course, to show that he was, in a sense, using the last bit of energy before he fell on the building. And so that effect got seen in that version of the film, cut from the American, unfortunately. But that's where it's kind of throwing me off a little bit because of that portion of the chest. Let's do some comparison here. So, got to bring in the other X Plus of the suit, 1984. both of them being 30 centimeters, but clearly you can see that we definitely have a scale difference here. The suit's more hunched forward, of course, and the Cybot, really, standing more upright, but I also still ask the question, and a lot of these collectors that are out there will ask the same question: what happened to scale here? Thought this was supposed to be 30 centimeter, and so you see quite a bit of difference there. It's almost like this one wants to be, the suit version wants to be a 25 centimeter also as well. And so the obviously the darker color of the Cybot represented here in this sculpt of it, I think I like that a lot better. The 84 suit version, a little lighter, but still not bad actually. And certain shots of it, being shot at night, the dorsal fins are tighter on the suit, probably because they were moving a lot more than the Cybot. You probably didn't see a lot of shots of the Cybot's dorsal fins, but comparing the two of them side by side, yeah, you see how much tighter they are in the suit version versus the Cybot version. Now, scale is, of course, thrown completely out the window when you think about the sea louse here, Shockirus, because this is supposed to be human-sized. But I do appreciate, again, what they did with it, giving him that kind of trilobite look, if you think about it. He's a lot like, in the original Godzilla, we had the trilobite that was found underneath Godzilla's footprint. Dr. Yamane picks it up with his bare hands, and so I guess this, in a sense, could be kind of a look or a throwback to that. And what I do appreciate about X Plus and what they do is, of course, that we've got the underbelly here. They don't leave a detail out to cheapen the figure. So you've got the texture of the underbelly, and you've even got your label there, Toho X Plus, information that we have there. But yeah, all the different little fibers and hairs that they might have to move around, kind of a suction cup kind of creature. Because of course, when he stuck himself to the back of the human character Maki going into the ship, you kind of have that idea that he was adhering himself in a certain way, and maybe those little fingers were grabbing on, and so they have those kinds of details there. There's some green texture going on here with the paint, a lot of brown, some black, but mostly it's a brown and green kind of figure here. And I do know, of course, we're talking about a room with a green screen, but I took this out of the room and I could definitely see the green that they had represented in here. So love what that looks like. So as far as favorite sculptors line, this is the first of the FSL that X Plus has put out that I have collected. So really glad to have that as part of the collection. And I've said this on numerous occasions that Godzilla 1985 was my first, and it's become my favorite of the Godzilla series. Of course, yeah, seeing 1984 brings a different flavor to it. I've even made my own fan edit. Let me tell you how obsessed, of course, I am with this film. You probably got your home video collection like me, and you got that Kraken release, right? So that's got to be part of the collection. If you're really hardcore, of course, you purchase from Japan through eBay or whatever other means the Blu-ray of 1984 that they put out with no English subtitles or dubbing, but you're watching it because you still love the film and you want to see it in high definition. So there's that. Of course, when this came out, I did not have the Kraken release because it hadn't been released. I've probably had that for over 10 years, actually, at this point, of the Japanese. And I like this one because it's got a really cool cover, and it's got a glitter effect, like almost like the pixels of it are glittering. And it's even got some bonus features on this. There's commentary, but again, it's in Japanese, can't understand it. And it's got some really cool, it's got the behind-the-scenes trailers, even a Godzilla 1983 trailer. That's really cool to see. This is where it started for me. This is the very VHS tape that I saw in the theaters that I rented, to the point where I could have just bought it for the same amount of money that I kept renting it for, $1 or $2 every time, from Lee's Video in Union City, Indiana, where I put Godzilla in 2014 to do that Godzilla alert and put me on the map here on YouTube, of course. But Godzilla 1985 is what started it, the fandom, you know, getting me into this fandom. This very VHS tape that was in the rental store, after that rental store went out of business, I purchased this and was glad that I made it part of the collection. And they had a few other Godzillas, but this was the one I kept going back to. And of course, you got to get a bootleg of 1985. You can find these on eBay. I believe it's called Mantis Release. And of course, it's also out there, I think, on YouTube. So if you wanted to see it, it's out there, because this is in, you know, copyright hell, if you will. So it's in copyright limbo. We have to have our Laserdisc copy, and I actually do have a Laserdisc player that works. I don't know how much longer it's going to be working, but this is a 4x3, not 16x9 version of Godzilla 1985. Mostly you pick these Laserdiscs up because of the scale of the cover art, so always love to have those. And now we've got, as part of the collection, the favorite Sculptors line version of Godzilla 1984, the Cybot, to go alongside of the suit version with the other versions of Godzilla 1985-84 that we've got. Got the Bandai, got the NECA, I mean, just all kinds of them. And just so glad to have him as part of the collection. He is looking great, and I know other collectors have picked him up as well. This was one that, when I first saw that they were releasing him, I said I really have to pull the trigger on this. There were other 84 drops that happened that I skipped out on. Glad I didn't skip out on this one, and I know that now, you know, the orders have closed for it, so it's definitely well worth it. I did have some difficulty with DHL trying to get it to me, not because it was transferred to a kaiju, it was transferred to USPS and then delivered, but at that point I don't have the tracking number. Tried to call DHL about it, they were less than helpful, so maybe not so much of a slam on DHL, but whoever I talked to. So tell me if you've had you know, issues with shipping. I saw some people did not use the Shonen RIC. What did you use if you did purchase him? If you went a different route to get him, and maybe that actually got him to you a little sooner. I did receive him on May 3rd. We're filming this on May 4th, so May the 4th be with you, all the Star Wars fans out there. But you're here because you're a Godzilla fan, and so we're glad to have him as part of the collection again. Like, subscribe, all those great YouTube things. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on X. You'll find us at The Monster Report on X, and at Monster Report on all the other social platforms out there. Follow us, like, and check out the other videos that we have. We've got all kinds of great materials, and getting close to that 100,000 subscriber mark because of you all out there. Thank you so much for watching, and this has been Nick Adam Poland, producer Eli, off here helping me out film this episode and get it out there for all of you out there in YouTube land to enjoy this alongside of me. So, thank you again. We'll catch you on another episode of Box Day.